Hey, it's Dan here from Emma Audio, and I'm here to talk about the Apogee Symphony Desktop audio interface. It's a USB 2 10 input, 10 output interface that can record up to 24-bit 192K with 2 analog preamps and a FET instrument input on the front. Apogee has a stellar reputation for its AD converters, and it doesn't get any more high spec than the Symphony line. If you've been to a pro recording studio, you might have found a rack of Apogee Symphony converters quietly doing their thing in a cupboard, keeping the sound of the session pristine. So it's pretty exciting that Apogee is bringing that level of quality to the desktop and making it more accessible for musicians and producers at home. This hefty little unit has a very minimal front, just the big knob for tweaking parameters and the touchscreen, more on that later. On the front edge are the main headphone output and a high Z input for your guitar or bass. On the back are 2 combi-jack inputs, main monitor outputs, a secondary headphone output, SPDIF connections for optical expansion, USB connection for your computer, and a USB host input for uploading firmware and your power socket. One of the first things you'll notice when you plug it in and fire it up is the big touchscreen in the top left-hand corner. It gives you all the controls you need to get by in a seamless and intuitive way. For example, if you want to adjust the gain on input 1, simply hit 1 on the screen and then turn up or down using the knob. Dive in a little deeper and you get the preamp settings. By default, it's set to the stock SDMP preamp, which you're hearing right now, which is great if you want a crystal clear sound from your microphones. So now I've just switched to the AP66, which is based on the iconic Neve 1066 preamp and will give you a more punchy and focused tone. Now I've just switched to the AP57, which offers up the tone of 50s era Ampex 601. This is a valve emulation and therefore it's a bit fuzzier around the edges and very vintage sounding. These plugins are powered by Symphony Desktop's onboard DSP, meaning that you can run them without taxing your computer's resources. You get a bunch of other plugins like a couple of Pultec EQs and an LA3A compressor emulation that you can run off the DSP or natively off your computer. Apogee has also teamed up with the legendary mix engineer Bob Clearmountain for the Symphony ECS channel strip and Clearmountain Spaces reverb. The dual path linking system also means that you can run plugins using the unit's DSP for low latency monitoring, as well as in your DAW for playback while keeping the same settings. This means that you don't have to switch between the two different systems and ruin the flow of your session. On the monitoring end, you have mute, dim, and mono buttons. The headphone outputs can be routed separately too, perfect if you're running a session that requires a separate headphone mix. So who's the Symphony Desktop for? Well, you're probably not going to be in the habit of running a full band session on it. But if you're a solo producer or musician who likes to record vocals and guitars in the home studio, you can't really get any better than this interface. And if you're an audiophile who requires a pristine environment for mixing, you'll be loving the Symphony Desktop. It comes in at over $2,000 here in Australia, so it's a serious investment. But for the power, flexibility, quality of digital and analog components, plus the plugins that are on offer, it's not bad value at all. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next time.